Yoni, it's so nice to be doing this with you. We've been working together for many years now, and it has evolved into many interesting and really fun projects. This is the first time we're doing this. So I'm just generally excited for everyone that could be listening to us today or in the future to learn more about you as an artist, but also, in my opinion, as one of the most creative people I've had the opportunity to work with. So I think a good place to start is you telling us about your journey as an artist. How did you get to be, in my own words, obsessed with color, with shape, with modularity, and we'll go into some of the collections that we have worked on together as well.
Thank you. Pleasure working with you and having you as a friend as well. So I'll tell about my background. Always been into art. Just as a kid, I was the creative one in the family, always making drawings and creations, and that was my thing. As everybody, I saw that it makes people happy, which encouraged me to keep going. Yeah, I went to study. Well, before that, I was into computer graphics because as a teenager, I discovered computer graphics and was really hooked up. I remember when I first discovered Microsoft Paint, the very primitive software. I was like mind blown because I used to love making. My father was an architect, and he would bring home those very large paper sheets that he doesn't need anymore. On the other side were plans that from previous project, and I would be excited about having this large sheet of white paper for me to fill up. It was an exciting thing for me, and I would use markers to fill large areas of color. You have to, it's a lot of manual labor, takes a lot of time. And when I discovered Paint, Microsoft Paint, and discovered the feature that the paint bucket tool, one click, you select the color, and then you hit the shape, whatever the shape is, and boom, it's full of color. So for me, it was mind blowing because in my doesn't mean you have to fill it up. So
Right. I remember that too. Yeah.
and so yeah, computer graphics, I loved it. And then there was a software called Flash, which allowed you to make animations, and I was hooked. I made lots of animations and stuff, and went to study like visual communication, and then I did a master in graphic design, and then I was working in advertising as an art director. But I kept doing my own thing as an artist, my own private, personal projects, and that was in London. I was in London then, and I got more serious about doing this stuff and gradually got more exposure and then got this solo exhibition in a really cool gallery and started collaboration with Tate, and so gradually established myself as an artist. That's what I'm trying to say. And because I'm coming from graphic design background, that's what I've always been attracted to. Colors, bright colors and shapes, the basic things. And I was doing a lot of this kind of stuff, 2D art, print and such. But it became associated with this style of overlapping colors, like I did with the cities, like this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which was prints, so just flat prints of overlapping colors that I achieved using screen printing. And then at some point, I thought it would be cool to actually try and do 3D stuff with it. So I started experimenting. The first thing I did was experimenting with using acrylics. So I just translated the graphics into those flat uprights. And once I started playing with this stuff, This led like threw my mind into a million of different directions. One of them was that it's cool that I by using flat, these are laser cut, which was something when you work in 3D, it's difficult to produce things. But this is relatively easy because it's just laser cutting sheets, flat sheets. I thought just by laser cutting some 2D shapes and putting them upright, I am actually getting a three-dimensional object with I'm using the space and that's how I thought let's try to do other things and this thing I came up with, which is creating a 3D object using this technique, with by placing the uprights on a flat base with some
Mhm.
holes. So I think that I don't remember exactly, but one of the things was playing was maybe the fruit bowl, one of them, because I did few uh, iterations, a few different ideas. Still, just by sticking uprights onto first on a base, and then I had an idea I could get them to hold in a different way. So with those
Rings.
like different types of structures, but it's very it's all kind of still I which was quite exciting to get a three-dimensional object just by using flat shapes that
Mhm.
are laser cut.
It's incredible how you were able to bring something that is two-dimensional and that continues to be two-dimensional and make it into a three-dimensional object, but then you're
It,
pushing the boundary and see how far you can go in that regards. I think your art is very driven by curiosity and how you can push the boundaries of a kind of like a thesis that you have in your head, an idea that you have, and how you can make it happen. But then you're also thinking, how are people going to interact and be curious with an object or with an artwork as well? Yeah.
it's also a result of the constraints of the production method. So, which is actually cool because once you're constrained, you have to think creatively of how to achieve something within the constraints, and then you try to push the.
Right. It's an art form in itself. I'm curious, so piggybacking from that, how I know your head must have thousands of ideas at any given moment. How do you go from idea to concept to then artwork and subsequently we'll talk a little bit more about product as well.
It's well, the easiest thing to explain it is by examples. So the basic principle is that through the act of making, that's where you get the ideas. And you try something, and then you have a new thing. We were talking about the fruit bowl. So the fruit bowl, it has an element which is a ring, laser cut ring, two of them, to hold the upright pieces. And the ring, so when I made it, and I cut laser cut that ring, very thin ring, quite large, a large one. And then I ended up with this offcut, which is a disc. So which is a shame to get rid of.
It's a lot of material.
yeah, and that gave me an idea. Hey, let's do something with discs. Yeah, that could be cool as well. And so I printed onto a few discs and made with the same principle of a base. And I made this modular sculpture that you can kind of move those discs along the grooves and create, because they are translucent, so they create composition, colorful composition. And doing this, I thought, well, this is a sculpture, but people love this, but let's make something in the same principle, but that more people could have, which is how we come to product. Because I want people to enjoy what I do, and not all of them can buy sculptures, either because they're expensive or they are large, or whatever. But also, it's nice if I can have my things in people's homes, like something that will bring them some colors and fun and whatever. So I thought that I could do something smaller, and this is how we get to
The coasters.
the coasters, yeah.
Sure.
So you say you started playing with the idea of those coasters and did all kinds of iterations and tests, and
I had no idea that's how you got it to the coasters. That's absolutely incredible.
everything that I created, whether it's big or small or 3D or 2D or whatever, I can tell you what led me to this and what this led me to.
So it's
So
it's almost like a consistent loop of creation and
yeah,
creativity.
that's the fun thing about making things. A lot of people think that you have to wait for an idea to strike you in your sleep or I don't know, or take LSD or whatever. But for me, it's always been like this. Just working on something gives several new directions to explore.
I will say it's such a joy also seeing people interact with it. I know, for example, the Shapes of Cities collection, you've collaborated with Tate, with MoMA. We've done things in Chicago, in Detroit, and hopefully continue to expand that collection as well. But it is such a joy to hear people that have the modular skyline sculptures or other products that are additions to that collection get so much joy and fun because it's almost like you're turning them into a creator as well when they need to open the box, put the pieces together, and figure out how this thing works.
The core purpose was to allow anybody, so it's not only me who decide on the composition and what colors go on what color, but to allow, and I keep telling it to people, there is no right way to do it. The fact that I did this doesn't mean you have to do this. The idea is that you move them, you see how the colors blend differently, and you can change it whenever you want. So it's not static.
It's an interactive piece. In the home collection that we have right now, we have the coasters, the fruit bowl, a modular, beautiful pen holder that people can put together and interact and exchange colors as well. My first question there is how do you select the colors that you use?
To work with more or less the same palette, which is bright colors. Or I always use a variety of colors to make impact. It has power using this palette. It's very bright. First of all, they grab your eyes, but also I personally get joy out of using and seeing these colors. So it's
It infuses the space with so much energy too. I will say right now what we see a lot out in the market, which is totally fine if you like that aesthetic, is a lot of white and beige and black and more like neutral colors. So it's such a energy boost, at least for me, when you see objects that first of all feel like very intentional. There's a meaning behind that and they're little art pieces too that are colorful because it brings really so much joy to all the ages too, and they become almost conversation piece when you have them at home.
when you work with those translucencies, because it's not an opaque color but translucent, you have to use those bright, colorful, vivid colors in order to for it to be not lost. And did I show you this?
Yeah,
It's a dice.
right. Yeah.
So you have to use those. This is it's like blurry dots, like on a real dice, to still be visible enough on a clear object. You have to use colors which are vivid.
Absolutely. So the fourth piece on this collection, and that will continue to grow, we have a few things coming up as well, is the love puzzle. So I know you have a whole love series. You have the love continuum sculpture that's traveling right now. It's in New York City. It was in London before. So how do you go from geometrical shapes, the shapes of a building, subsequently coasters and fruit bowls, And now we land on a gorgeous love series that is taking on a lot of shapes and forms, but that then you continue to use interactive processes as that your audience interact with the artwork as well, both in terms of your big sculptures too.
Yeah, it's very similar. It started as a graphic. The love, the letters are overlapping. Each letter is a different color, four letters, and then you get the colors in between them where they are overlapping. The idea was to make something minimal but kind of powerful and iconic because the word, but it's almost like a symbol with very kind of minimal lines and shapes. So I don't need to have LOVE, but I kind of merged them and kind of reduced the amount of details. It became more minimal. And so that was the 2D artwork. And I don't remember exactly, but at some point it occurred to me that it could translate as well to perfectly as a 3D object. And then you would have this play element of putting it together, but also as well, I like to allow modularity. So pushing the parts backwards and forwards, you still get the love is still legible, but you would have more interesting structure with lights and shades and more. I think I should open the curtain here. There'll be more light.
You look good, but
Once,
I love that it's such a big statement, but then you're continuing to explore the meaning of this word through different shapes and different ways of interacting with it. It's so needed now, too. I also think the concepts that you use, Yoni, they're very relatable and very simple. You're not trying to bring to the world something that conceptually people in your audience can't really understand. It's how do we continue to bring joy and interactivity to concepts that are already very familiar through us, being it through the shapes of a skyline or something as powerful as love, too. So it's something that I've really resonated with your art. I feel like it's art that anyone, it doesn't matter your level of education or your background, it's something that universally can be understood by many people too. So it's really
yeah, I mean, if there's only quite into minimalism.
Mhm.
If as an artist I could convey a certain message, it's better to go to concentrate on the most minimal but most powerful thing and a single thing.
Mhm.
So, mm, so love is perfect in that sense. Yeah.
So last, I want to talk about the incredible stainless steel sculptures that you're working on. I think you've been working on them for the past few years, but they're still very recent with regards to your other work. Last year, we launched the Eternal Drop Menorah, which was based in one of those sculptures too. So it would be great for you to talk more about those because the main character for those sculptures is not color and not necessarily modularity in the sense that people can move the pieces within them. So they're a little bit different than the other work that we see, but nonetheless, you still infuse those with a level of different interactivity in the sense that it makes people think, it makes people go around them too. And also curious to see how we went from a beautiful drop sculpture that then turned into the idea of a menorah that people can use and interact with.
It's right. You're right, but the main interactive element of those reflective sculptures is the play, the way you see yourself
Mm.
and what you see when you look at them, depending on where you look at them from and the distance and what they do, because you're being reflected as well and your environment and what it does. There is an element of interactivity there. Before I was talking about how I started playing with 3D, and after that I did lots of different. Everything led me to another thing, and I did all kinds of types of 3D sculptures and objects, and I started exploring and experimenting with different materials. At some point, playing with 3D and with sculptures, I decided I should think, dedicate myself into coming up with shapes, 3D shapes that are simple and minimal, but yet still surprising. And I thought that would be a nice kind of challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, with the sculpture, which is called Linger, which we then made the eternal drop menorah in the same shape. The story is I now live in Portugal for the last 3 years. Actually, I'm noticing that moving to Portugal, I don't have all these visual stimulations that I had in London and all that. I'm here surrounded by nature. I'm in the southwest coast. And I noticed that I'm getting inspired by nature more.
Interesting.
And a lot of those stainless steel sculptures are a result of that. And so the linger one, I was walking on the beach barefoot and felt it's like I something cold. Then I realized I stepped on a jellyfish
Oh,
on the sand. And I looked and I saw it's such a minimal and perfect and simple shape, and it was completely clear, and I was fascinated by this is actually a living creature, although it's just a clear blob, which is you can't see nothing except the clear. And I thought that would be this simplicity was really cool, and wow, if I could come up with a sculpture which would be so simple. And then I got for a while I was stuck with this, really wanted to do something which is so simple, and it has no beginning or end. It's all one curve, yeah. So no matter where you look at it from, it's all the same. And eventually I came up with a solution, which is because this would just be not going to be an interesting sculpture if it's just the blow. But the elements, those little two elements of the drops, and having them suspended in the air like this one,
mm-hmm.
that would make it a cool sculpture and surprising because there's an element of it exists on kind of on flat, but also in the air.
And it's also incredible that by just adjusting it a little bit more or recontextualizing the artwork, then we infused it with a new meaning for the menorah, right? I think
Yeah,
that goes to say how you continue to evolve depending on what you did in the past as well.
yeah, it landed perfectly as a menorah. Otherwise, for me, there's no point unless it works perfectly to make. It was like something, a surprise that perhaps I wouldn't think of unless we work together. This idea of like thinking of making products that are products that are not artworks, that
Yeah,
are useful, that are
yeah, they have a
that has a
functionality.
purpose. Or
Yeah, so a lot of people that have the menorah now, they say they love it because it's a seasonal piece, but they can have it year round around the house. And I think for the coasters, the way I see it is also that whenever people usually have coasters, they bring it out when they have guests or they have a dinner, and then they put them back into the box, goes into the cabinet until the next time. The beauty of these products that are a mix of art and functionality is that they're standalone art pieces as well. They come from that mindset. So, for example, for the coasters, there's no need to put them back. You leave them out.
Every now and then they would come to the coasters and just switch the order to make it to see different to blend the colors differently.
I know I do, so I'm sure everyone else is doing it as well too. And when my nephews and nieces come, they'll love to play with them. It becomes such a centerpiece for conversation too. My last question for you, Yoni, is what's coming ahead? What's on your mind? Are there any projects that you're currently working on that are exciting to share? And yeah, I mean, I know from our side and our partnership, there's a lot coming up, very exciting things, continuing on that sense of modularity and functionality combined with color and art. So curious to know if there's anything on your end you want to share with everyone.
I have very excited these days about my largest stainless steel sculpture, which is currently being made. It will be a public art piece, a permanent one in New York. That's exciting because for an artist, scale, at least for myself, scale is always exciting. It's impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also the fact that it's just, again, the sculpture is something that you can not just watch, but also sit on and so on, climb on. And so that's it. But I'm working on this
These are
puzzle
really
of animals. They are 3D puzzles. They are quite challenging. Look, I'm testing them. I'm hoping they would be wooden. So we have,
These also came from a two-dimensional original idea, right?
yeah. And I did all kinds of stuff with them already.
I love
Um,
that. I love that you continue to push the art in different ways too. Well, that's very exciting.
yeah, maybe I'll read one of these because I'm making also like wall sculptures with them. It's wrapped, but
Uh-huh.
it has a mirror element in it as well. It's wooden.
Mm-hmm. It's incredible how you're able to go from, one medium to the next. Think about how in different materials, but also in different sizes and scale, an artwork can work.
When you like with those animals as well as with everything else we discussed, when it's something simple, minimal, it can it can work in different dimensions. And I love taking something simple and minimal and then making it large. That's impactful, yeah.
Well, Yoni, I'm so excited for what's to come. We have a lot in the works, but also a lot out right now. It's been such a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to the many, many more crazy ideas that we can make happen too, and so appreciative of you.
Thank you. Pleasure working together. And
Amazing.
yeah, it's gonna